Evelyn Carter didn't walk home. She moved like someone stepping into destiny, her cane tapping not in weakness but like a drumbeat marking the return of someone the world once remembered, and soon would again. The sun glimmered off passing cars, and strangers whispered as they recognized her from the viral videos already spreading online. Each step she took was a contradiction. Delicate bones, but fire in her spine. Dear hands, but thunder in her soul. The city buzzed louder than before, like the air itself knew something monumental was unfolding. Vin Diesel followed a respectful distance behind, not as a celebrity guardian, but as a witness to a quiet revolution. When she reached the corner, a black SUV rolled up, tinted windows sliding down to reveal a face lined with worry, pride, and urgency. Her son, Anthony Carter. Gray at the temples now, government credentials clipped to his suit. The same boy she used to lift from scraped playground knees. The same man she used to pray over before he entered rooms filled with people who didn't want a black man in power. He stepped out fast, his tie askew like he had run here. "Mama," he breathed, voice cracking, "what did you do?" Evelyn looked at him calmly, her eyes glimmering. "Nothing but stand." Anthony swallowed hard, eyes darting around at the phone still raised, at Vin nearby, at the world now watching. "You going viral is one thing," he whispered urgently. "But your name, they're digging. They're finding things, civil rights files, surveillance logs, photos from marches and secret meetings. Mama, they're realizing who you are." Evelyn's lips curved, not into a smile but into something wiser, older, ancient, like she had been waiting for this storm not with fear, but patience. "Anthony," she murmured, "I have never been afraid of truth." Vin stepped closer, gentle but curious. "What truth?" Anthony looked at him, hesitant, but something in Vin's expression, sincerity, humility, respect, made him nod. "My mother wasn't just active in the civil rights movement," he said quietly. "She led covert coordination meetings when activists were targeted. She smuggled documents to lawyers. She helped organize boycotts, protected students walking into schools, and fed organizers hiding from violence. She was watched by government offices that didn't want change." Evelyn didn't flinch. She simply breathed, steady and certain. Vin lowered his voice. "You were a freedom fighter." "We were many," she replied, voice soft but heavy with history. "Some shouted. Some marched. Some bled, and some moved quietly so others could rise loudly." Anthony ran a hand through his hair. "Mama, media outlets are already publishing your name. They're calling you one of the hidden mothers of movement strategy. They're asking why you never told anyone." Evelyn's eyes softened. "Because we did not do it for applause. We did it so our babies, like you, could sit in rooms they tried to keep you out of." Vin's voice dropped barely above a whisper. "You carried this alone all these years?" "No," Evelyn said firmly, gaze distant like she could still see faces long gone. "I carried the memory of those who never got to grow old." A breeze rustled through the street like spirits listening. People paused mid-stride to take in every word. A young girl standing nearby, phone in hand, whispered, "She's really a hero." And Evelyn, always humble, shook her head. "Child, heroes are just people who get tired of watching injustice and decide to stand up one day." Anthony exhaled shakily. "They want to interview you, Mama, major networks. Government departments are already reaching out. Some want to honor you, others want to sanitize the story. Rewrite it." Evelyn's eyes sharpened like steel beneath velvet. "No one rewrites my life but me." Her cane tapped once, a punctuation. Vin stepped closer, sincere. "If you want, I can help control the narrative. You don't need to face this alone." Evelyn looked up at him. Tiny compared to his broad strength, but somehow more towering in spirit. "I thank you, but I never needed a Hollywood protector, baby," she said warmly. "I just needed a witness." Vin nodded in understanding, admiration, even gratitude in his eyes. "Then let me be that witness. Let me amplify your voice." A tear escaped down her son's cheek, quick as a falling star. "Mama, after Daddy died, you could have disappeared quietly, lived out your days peacefully. Now your past is rising like a tide." "Baby," she said, touching his cheek, "peace is not silence. Peace is dignity. Today I didn't fight. I remembered." Suddenly a voice called out from down the street. A young man, breathless, rushing forward with a news mic. "Ms. Carter, is it true you were part of the sacred planning group for the Unity March? Is it true you sheltered activists when they were hunted?" Cameras turned, microphones thrust forward. The crowd swelled. Evelyn stood straighter. Taller, like history itself ran through her bones. "I did what my conscience required," she said, voice firm. "And I'd do it again," another reporter shouted. "Do you feel you were profiled at the bank today?" "I feel the same seeds that grew injustice decades ago never fully died," she answered. "They just changed clothing." Gasps rippled. The reporters pushed forward, hungry for drama, but Evelyn lifted a single hand. Silence fell. "Do not make this about hate," she said. "Make it about awareness, transformation, accountability, not destruction." The weight of her grace stunned even the seasoned reporters. The young girl recording earlier whispered, "She's like history walking." Vin breathed deeply, humbled. "You're remarkable," he murmured. Evelyn shook her head gently. "I am simply unafraid of truth." Suddenly the bank doors swung open. The manager and teller stepping out. Pale, shaken, escorted by corporate compliance officers who must have rushed after seeing the viral footage. The manager approached, stiff and uneasy. "Ms. Carter," he began, voice strained, "we would like to formally apologize. We are sorry you were exposed," Evelyn finished for him. Not cruel, but honest. "Learn from this. Change how you see people. Then we will be truly even." The manager swallowed, unsure whether to feel relieved or humbled. The teller stepped forward, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry," she whispered. "I judged you. I spoke without thought. I was wrong." Evelyn studied her, not angrily, but deeply, as if searching her heart. "Apology accepted," she said softly. "But remember, humility shouldn't require an audience." The teller nodded, cheeks burning, but also oddly relieved. Then Vin turned to Evelyn, voice low. "So what now?" Evelyn looked around. At her son, the cameras, the strangers who weren't strangers anymore because they had seen her truth. "Now," she whispered, "I rest. And then I teach, again." A reporter asked, "Teach what?" Evelyn smiled gently. A smile full of decades of struggle and hope and stubborn faith. How to stand without stepping on others. How to rise without pushing someone down. And how to remember that dignity is not granted by systems. It is owned by souls. Traffic hummed. Birds twittered overhead, but all of it felt quiet compared to the power of her words. People began to clap, not the sudden applause of spectacle, but the slow, rising, reverent clap of people who had just witnessed something sacred. Vin placed a gentle hand over his heart. "If they made a movie about you," he murmured, "it wouldn't be about struggle, it'd be about strength." Evelyn chuckled softly. "Child, strength is just what grows when the world gives you no other choice." Anthony exhaled, wiping his eyes. "Let's go home, Mama," Evelyn nodded. "Home," she repeated, but her eyes sparkled like she knew this moment wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. As they walked away, people parted like water around them, reverent, witnessing. Vin stood back, watching the small woman who had walked into a bank to withdraw savings, and instead withdrew a nation's memory. "Thank you," he said softly. Not loud enough for her to hear, but loud enough for fate to notice. And as Evelyn Carter disappeared around the corner, sunlight wrapping her like a crown earned long ago, the world finally understood. She was not just a grandmother with a cane. She was history. She was courage. She was proof that sometimes the loudest fight is fought with calm truth. And she was done being invisible. If you're watching this video right now, drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. Hit like, subscribe, and share, because strength like this isn't quiet anymore. It lives in every one of us bold enough to say enough. And this story, this one isn't about humiliation or fame. It's about dignity reclaimed. A queen never needed a throne. Only the moment the world remembered she already owned her crown.